Hi, my name is Kara Sayers, and this is my presentation for the Web 2.0 assignment. Like a lot of you have already posted, I did enjoy reading the article, and just in terms of a general summary, I decided to start by just looking up the definition of digital divide, which to me was what the article really was all about. According to Google, the definition is just the gulf between those who have ready access to computers and the internet and those who don't. According to the article, they talked about a lot of the causes. Sometimes it might be a lack of resources, which could be caused by economic status or race or gender. But even if a school did have plenty of resources, there could be that gulf based on just teachers feeling like there's a lack of time or training or support for them to even be able to incorporate that technology that is available effectively into their classrooms. So for me, I kind of took it one step further and just said, how does this article apply to my situation? I teach high school biology and physiology at Arapahoe High School in Centennial, Colorado. And so luckily we don't have a problem with resources. We have a ton of technology available. We have teachers that are motivated to learn how to incorporate it into their classrooms, and we have the support provided. So our biggest challenge, I guess, is just really trying to change student learning within the confines of, I put in quotes, school as we know it. So the traditional school system, kind of that we're subjected to in this country. So I guess my definition of the digital divide that we experience at Arapahoe would just be the ever-increasing gap between the world in which our students live and we live as well, and the world that the education we're giving them is actually preparing them for. And I think that's the gap that I focus on throughout the rest of my presentation and how we can work on closing that. So is that closing of the gap possible? I said yes, if there's kind of two main factors that are able to happen. First, schools, and by that I mean everybody involved, teachers, staff, admin, have to shift their focus, and it needs to go away from just how those tech tools can be incorporated into traditional content. So, not just how do we use the next cool fad or cool tool with what we're already doing, because when we focus on that, I think we get stressed. Time constraints are a problem, it's labor intensive, and we just really end up running ourselves ragged. To me, it really needs to be just a collective shift in focus, and we need to start thinking about how the skills and types of thinking that our students do outside of the classroom, how we bring that into the classroom. And so I think when we do that and we really just entirely shift our focus, technology just becomes kind of a no-brainer. It just sort of starts to become the natural tool that we would use for the type of thinking and skills that we're trying to teach our students. The second big if, not only do our teachers and schools need to start thinking that way, but the government needs to allow it. And so we as schools need the freedom to start thinking that way and sort of thinking outside the traditional realm of school. We need to be able to brainstorm and implement the methods that we think are best for our students. We need the time to try to, do some trial and error and get feedback from our kids. And just not always feeling like threatened that we aren't going to, pass the state test and our school will be in trouble and we'll lose our job. So two big pieces. Is the school willing to kind of shift their focus, and will the government within our state or the nation allow it? The next question we were asked about are the required skills for 21st century learners, and I really loved what the article mentioned, and I just honestly copied all of a good portion of the list that was posted in the article. We want our kids to be creative, we want them to be innovative, we want them to be able to think critically and problem solve, and it goes on and on and on. And I think all of those are really truly the important skills we want our kids to have, because let's be honest, as a biology teacher, they can look up the definition of photosynthesis in 32 seconds on their phone. So why am I bothering spending an entire 58-minute lesson teaching them that formula? So kind of in not so many words, I found this image on the internet, and it just sort of talked about the 4 C's. So I think that sort of kind of nicely summarizes the bigger list from the article into just kind of 4 main categories. We want them to be able to think critically. We want them to be able to collaborate with one another and globally. We want them to be able to communicate their ideas. And then, when all of those pieces come together, they really are sort of being innovative and being creative. So I also wanted to post this picture. I found this on Twitter, and I loved it the other day because it really made me think about, my job as a teacher. And I do feel like my purpose here is to be a teacher and to hang out with high school students and teach them biology. And when all of these circles combine, when I'm doing something I love and the world needs it, I'm pretty good at it. Well, I feel like I've gotten better over 15 years and I get paid for it. That's my purpose. And so truly, to me, our job as teachers, I guess, is to give students the tools to be able to go out into the world and find their purpose. So all of those 4 C's really are the tools that would help them be able to discover their purpose in life. In terms of, I guess, the global economy and its impact on my internet use, the way I wrote my answer to this was just that the internet has changed the way that I work. I don't have a curriculum for physiology, and I just pulled it entirely off of the internet to teach my 2-day-a-week elective. It changes the way I shop. Who doesn't love Amazon Prime? Search for good old Google for information and just communicate, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I'm using those technology tools quite frequently. Really, just essentially, it's given me the world at my fingertips. So I guess I connected it to my classroom by just saying it's the same for our kids. It's the same for our students. They have the world at our fingertips. So yet again, that just emphasizes the importance that we need to prepare our students for an entirely different world than the one that I think we got prepared for. And we're still kind of teaching them in that traditional schooling way. So that shift in focus just has to happen. 21st century technology in my school, what do we have? Again, I mentioned this earlier, but I feel pretty lucky to say that resources aren't really a problem at my school. We're one-to-one with personal devices. Kids either bring them in or we provide them. It might be an iPad, it might be a laptop, it might even be their phone, but pretty much the expectation is that kids will have a device or they're checking one out from us. Every room has computer carts. We have smart boards in every room. We are a Google school, so everything's done with Google Classroom and Google Drive and, you name it. In terms of science specifically, we use Discovery Ed for our online tech book. We use Moodle for our quiz, kind of online quizzing program and online classrooms, and I've heard several other people mention Kahoot, but it's like the best thing ever, turning their cell phones into clickers for just review and quiz stuff. We've got the school support, so our admin kind of expects that we're using technology. We've got district and school level specialists that kind of help bring our dreams to reality. And in addition, we've just got community support. We are given a lot of grants for when we need things. And like I said, the parents sort of expect that that's what we're doing at our school. Basically, I just kind of wrote that if you name it at our school, luckily, we probably either have it or can ask for it through a grant or, just to the administration, and we most likely, unless it's completely outrageous, will get it. So that transitioned me into just, in terms of training, what do I need? And this was kind of a different answer for me. I basically wrote, I need a shift in focus, like I've already mentioned, away from just the nitty-gritty details of biology. I need to be able to let go of kind of that keeping up with the Joneses mentality. And I thought that was kind of refreshing, because it's not that I have to know how to use every single tool and have the answer to every single Google question or, new app that's come out, because really the kids probably either already know how to do it or will be happy to help figure it out along the way, because that's the stuff they love. That's the skills that they enjoy. So rather, my shift in focus needs to kind of focus on how my course, biology, can foster those 4 C's, the creativity, the collaboration, the critical thinking, and communication. And I really believe that it can. It's just, it's completely changes your brain and how you think about what assignments you want to give and how you want to run your class periods. And then finally, again, just the freedom to and kind of the time to test it out. I think, as a team of biology teachers, I have 7 of us in my school teaching a pretty big 2,100 student school. We could start by brainstorming, then implement some of our ideas, get feedback from the kids. I think that's a huge piece because they've got to be involved in the process and letting us know how it goes. And finally, just to be able to put it all into action but not feel pressured to have it perfect the first time. So I clicked over a little early on my slide. Sorry about that. Finally, I guess advantages and disadvantages I see of these tools. I think the big advantages are just most of the time they're free or low cost. So Google is pretty, it's free and it's easy to use, and it was a lot cheaper for our school and our district to shift over from Microsoft Office to Google Docs and slides and spreadsheets and all that. It's accessible everywhere, so we have gotten away from kids having to save something on their flash drive and bring it back, and oh shoot, they forgot it and they don't have this version. It's just right there on the internet on their drive. It's relevant. It's what kids are doing when they go home, and when they're not being asked to do whatever they're doing in class, they've got their phone out and they're using the web tools that are built into their phone, so it's completely relevant. And finally, I think it's just the best way to foster these 4 C's: the collaboration, the creativity. It's just kind of seamless. So those are the advantages that I see. As far as disadvantages, I think for some students and a lot of teachers as well, they can just seem overwhelming and intimidating. Trying to learn how to keep up with the next game or app or program that's come out can feel quite overwhelming. But as I said earlier, I think there's freedom in saying, hey, our kids are going to help us figure this out because this is the way their brains are wired anyway. They can be a distraction. It's quite easy for students to quickly flip between tabs and, oh yes, I'm working on my Google Doc paper, but actually I was shopping on Amazon. So I think there's the potential for distractions, just like good old note passing in our day. And then of course just web issues. So if something doesn't run or Google's not loading or, crashing, and of course teaching kids how to discern and not just copy and paste straight off the internet, so copyright stuff, and then just the ever-present, idea of safety and not leaving quite your entire life out there on the web for the entire world to see. So finally, just what have my experience has been with inappropriate use. Really, I haven't seen a whole lot in terms of cyberbullying. Of course, kids get into Twitter fights. They'll say not so nice things to one another. My tech teacher at our school actually has filters set up that, he grabs words like our school name or our mascot and kind of keeps an eye on some of those things and doesn't discipline kids, but just maybe sometimes has a talk with them about, hey, this is out there once you put it there, so discern and be wise in what you're posting. I guess the main problem and the main issue that we've run across in our school is just academic dishonesty. So all the time kids are taking pictures of assignments and sharing them and texting them out, or tweeting a copy of the pre-lab that we ask kids to do before they come to lab each week. We've even seen test answer keys that have somehow gotten out and gotten pictures and been passed around. So to me, I guess that's, in addition, we've got a lot of kids that, share via Google, which is great for teachers, but they just make copies of documents, put somebody else's name on it, and try to get away with it. So we've had to really learn to check revision histories and think about how we want to give assignments. So to me, all of that really just kind of points to 2 things. Number one, to just, as a school and a teacher in my individual class, really have clear expectations and then clear consequences for what will happen should that occur, should a student choose to cheat with their devices. But more importantly, I guess, it's really challenged me to think about what is a good assignment. If it's something kids can just cheat off of, 5 quick multiple choice questions, is it really the best use of my time and the student's time? So we've really sort of shifted our focus to how can we make personalized assignments where kids are connecting what they're learning in class to their lives, because that's just one way. They instantly go to their volleyball or their job or their game, and how that connects to biology, and I think the idea of cheating just kind of quickly fades away. So again, through this some of the bad, we've been able to really think about some of the good. So that's the end of my presentation. I hope that you were able to stick around for all 15 minutes, and thanks for posting.